Hello, brothers and sisters. Thanks for joining me. Hey, today I thought I would talk a little bit about crime and punishment, given that it's been all over the news about the little girl that they're naming Sophie Dundee in Scotland, who protected herself and her sister allegedly with a knife and an axe. And I did a video on this, so if you want to go watch that, that's out there. But with that kind of thing going on, and the Facebook police and everything going on in the UK, and the people putting up flags and flags being taken down and migrants, I thought I would just revisit this old story that really reinforces why I'm happy I live in Texas in these crazy times. So this story is a little bit old. It is about 12, I think it's 12 or 13 years old. So I do want to preface it with that, and I hope Texas is still this way. But let's read this story and think about how this would go over in the UK, because of all this stuff I've been seeing in the UK. Why a Texas dad who killed his daughter's alleged rapist won't face charges. 4-minute read. This is from the Times staff, June 20th, 2012. So about 13 years old. So it is dated, but I think it's still worth a read. Time.com readers were right. The Texas dad who beat to death a man who was allegedly raping his 5-year-old daughter doesn't deserve to stand trial. On Tuesday, a grand jury refused to indict the father, whose name is being kept under wraps to protect his identity of his little girl. Her age has been reported as 4 last week. He killed Jesus Mora Flores, a family acquaintance, at a barbecue held at the family's ranch earlier this month after finding him molesting his daughter behind a barn. The father pulled Flores, 47, off his screaming daughter, then beat him. When he realized the extent of the man's injuries, he phoned 911 in a panic. "He's going to die," the father yelled at the dispatcher. "He's going to effing die." Investigators confirmed that the scenario played out as it had been described by the father and witnesses. The girl was taken to a hospital where forensic evidence indicated she'd been sexually abused. Emergency responders found Flores with his pants and underwear pulled down. The Associated Press reports, in declining to indict the 23-year-old father in June 9th killing of Jesus Mora Flores, Lavaca County grand jury reached the same conclusion as investigators and many of the father's neighbors. He was authorized to use deadly force to protect his daughter. "It's sad a man had to die," said Michael James Veet, 48, who lives across the street from where the attack happened in this small community run on ranching and Shiner Beer Brewery. "But I think anybody would have done that." Indeed, in such a horrific and unimaginable moment, it's easy to believe that many parents would have reacted similarly. I couldn't see myself having any semblance of control, but I wonder about the conclusion that the father was authorized to use deadly force to protect his daughter. One blow probably would have been sufficient to separate the alleged predator from the girl, but the dad pummeled Flores to death. That degree of force was likely unnecessary, but neither investigators nor the grand jury nor general public could muster up much sympathy for Flores. Perhaps it's because serving as our children's protector is hardwired. Last week, when I wrote about the alleged offense, David Finklor, director of Crimes Against Children Research Center in the University of New Hampshire, parsed why a parent might overreact in the case of sexual abuse. "We have an instinctual desire to protect our kids," said Finklor. "A sexual threat is seen as a mortal threat against the future and their reputation. It is almost like a trigger where we are completely entitled to feel righteous anger." Most readers confirmed Finklor's assessment. Among the most popular comments, "This is an extension of the right to self-defense. The child cannot defend herself. Most fathers would rather go to jail than to not act to defend their child. Charges should be dropped." Another reader suggested that a lifetime free passes to Disneyland should be awarded to the dad. "Touch a kid, die, done," a third wrote. "Completely agree. So heinous, death is deserved." Whether that's true or not, it must be said that there are no winners in this situation. A man is dead, a father killed someone, and a 5-year-old is old enough to remember what happened for a very, very long time. So I read this, and I think it's probably still true in Texas today. I don't believe this guy today, if he was brought before a jury in Texas, would be it's possible to convict him. I don't think anyone would. And I contrast that with the UK, where we've got little girls right or wrong, feeling like they have to carry knives and axes to protect themselves. Where were their fathers? Where were their mothers with those two little girls in that other video? When the rape gangs down in the UK are getting free passes because it's part of their culture, or because it's inconvenient for labor, throw them in jail because they're labor voters. This is not the way. And again, I'm glad I live in Texas where things like this are taken care of. And I do believe strongly that people should have a right to take care of business when necessary. And the UK, you guys need to wake up. When I see stories about a man who shoots a robber in his house, and the man's a farmer who has a license for a shotgun and he's prosecuted, or when I see the stories of an old Royal Marine who kills a burglar with a knife after a fight in his kitchen and who gets arrested. And I see people that are arrested for saying they don't like all these foreigners or they're in this country, or they're investigated because they said you should speak English and that's a hate crime. This is not the way. And again, I'm glad I live in Texas. Hey, if I got this wrong, let me know. It's how I feel. Or if I got it right, let me know. But this is the way. Thanks. Bye.